Hi, good morning. Welcome back to Mike Makes It. This is part 2 of the tacho install on the Defender I have. As you may recall, this is a £20 tacho I got off eBay, as opposed to a £300 tacho you can buy from Land Rover. But just to complicate things, what I want to do is swap that white needle over for the red one there. Then hopefully the instruments in the dash will all look very similar. Hardly factory, but rather than having this one with a red needle, everything else has got a white needle. Hopefully they'll sort of pair up okay. But what I've got to do, got an aluminium surround there that holds the glass in and everything else. A couple of screws on the base there. I can unscrew them, but all that'll happen is rattle around in there. So I've got to uncrimp this aluminium surround. And obviously I've got to do it so I don't damage it, because it's going to look a bit poor from the front. So I've made a little jig. Enter the MDF jig here. So the idea is that'll fit into there. It's quite a snug fit, but I can unpick the aluminium all the way around there now. Hopefully without damaging certainly the area I can see. Don't matter too much if the paint gets chipped off the back here. Not worried about that. I'm certainly not worried about this. I only want the needle out of it. So yeah, I'll find something just to pull that back. I could use a screwdriver. I think I might use something a little bit more delicate, some plastic instrument. I'll see what I've got to hand, but it could end up being a screwdriver. So yeah, we'll get picking on here, see if we can see what's inside. I also want to have a look at the lamp. Now unfortunately on this one, if it's a filament bulb, if it blows, I've got to do all this unpicking again. I'm only going to get away with that once, I reckon. Now on the Cheap Jack £5 oil temperature gauge, they've had a little idea here, a grommet. There's an LED in there, granted, but it would be lovely if that was in here. Then you could replace it should it blow. But anyhow, stop talking, get on with pulling this ring off and dismantle it. So here we go. I've chopped up a plastic trimming tool, which may do the trick. I'll try. Yeah, it is pulling out a little bit, so we might be lucky. Now the ring's not that tight on it, so hopefully I ain't got to peel back too much, but it seems to be working. So I'll carry on with this. I think you get the idea of what I'm doing. And we'll see if we can see what the insides of the tacho look like in a few minutes. Yeah, it does seem to work. Just gently, and I've gone all the way round, and it seems fairly even the amount of ring that's been pulled back. So let's just see. Well, there you go. That's out. A little band that's got to go back in. Just want to make sure I know how it goes back in. And of course, if I can get this needle off, I'll make sure I set it back to 0, which goes without saying. So what I'll do, before I start dismantling this, it probably would have been a better idea for me to dismantle this first, make sure I could get the finger off it. But we'll see. Get this off, see if I can swap them over. So that's the plan now. Well, that's the oil gauge or oil temperature sensor dismantled. It looks, if we put it sideways, the actual shaft go into each of the pointers seems about right, seems about the right size. So that's great news if it is the case. Anyhow, I'm going to try to pull this one off first. I think I'm just going to whack a pair of tweezers underneath and see if it pops off. So I'll go and grab, oh hang on, spludger. Let's try that. Grab my finger on there. Oh, there's a cap that's come off. It looks as if it's pretty much the same. Same design as this one here. There's an LED in the back of both of these now, I found out. And they're using the actual piece that moves, not the finger, not the dial, if you want to call it that. The light transmits up that and across it. So that actually helps the display. So let's just keep. No, that's a little bit stuck on too much for just pulling. It was the cap that lifted off quite easily. This is where it fires across the garage and we never see it again. I don't mind butchering this, but I don't want to butcher the original tacho if I can help it. But yeah, there's a pin. I can see there's a pin actually in the needle. This is the word I was trying to look for instead of the dial. It's actual needle. I must admit, for about a fiver, the oil temperature gauge is very good quality. It was glass on the front, not plastic. And just how that's damped. Really quite nice. But, right, I'm going to get a pair of tweezers, or I'm going to make something that's going to pull that out without doing any damage. So I'll go see if I can do that now. Right. See them? They pull your big clips out of the plastic mouldings on your door frame, etc., etc., on vehicles. The idea is they can get hold of the plastic clip and hold it on both sides and lift it up and out of the bodywork. Now what I'm going to do here, I've loosened that plate. What I'm hoping to do is get this underneath, and the metalwork here is going to put even pressure on the needle. You just turn that around there. Well, honestly, this is where it's going to go across the room. We're not going to see it again. Should have been a goalie. Right. That's what it's all about. That's what I was looking for. AliExpress actually sell them, but you need to buy about 1,000 of them. This was a cheaper option, trust me. So if I can do the same on this, put that down there. If I can do the same on this, job's a good one. So let's see. Yeah. Right, I'm going to stick a bit of tape around all this to protect it. Then we'll get these in. Alright, we've got that under the needle. I can't remove this, unfortunately. This plate is actually crimped in 4 places. So I'm hoping this will pop off without much of a fuss. And it did. It does look pretty much the same makeup as the other finger or dial. But hopefully I can put that back on. It does feel as if it'll push back on. I may have to just open it up, because I suspect they stick them on with super glue. So I'll just measure the diameter of the shafts on both of these and either open this up or not and put it back in the right place, and away we go. So yeah, we're on a winner. Hopefully we're good. Incidentally, just out of interest, look at what's in the tacho. For 20 notes, there's quite a bit going on. Don't look if I'm going to be able to do anything with the light. It's all captive under this assembly, so I just had to put up with it. Hopefully it's an LED and it's not going to blow on me. But yeah, for £20, quite impressed with that. It feels as if this is geared somehow in here when you try to move the needle, but without opening it up, I can't be sure. But yeah, cut long story short, I'm going to get that needle put back on, and when you come back, you're going to see, hopefully, the white needle on here ready to be refitted to the car. Right, just been having a look at these needles, and of course they're very slightly different. The diameter of the pins are different. The one on the oil gauge is thinner, so the needle doesn't directly fit straight over. Now I could open the hole up, but what I've done instead is scrape the red paint off. Let's see if we can get that in focus. But I think, yeah, it's a bit better. You can see it's now white, and that's what I want. And it's going to be the right needle to go back on the tacho, because it's the one that came off. Apart from now, it's white. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to have a cup of tea, and I put them together. But that's one of these Pentel white paint marker. You get them all different colours, but very handy around the workshop. Good for marking boxes and stuff up. So let that dry. Then it should be straightforward reassembly. What I did notice on the tacho though, there's a big cap in here, and it's a bit how you doing. So I'm just going to bond that down to the PCB. But apart from that, yeah, cup of tea, put it back together. Then we reassemble it into the Land Rover. So yeah, shouldn't be too long now. One thing I need to do before I refit the needle is just make sure we set it to 0. So this actually goes through a self-test. When you power it up, it goes from 0 up to about halfway, then back to 0 again. So what we'll do, I've got a bench power supply set up here. I'll just plug that in. This is the original painted needle. I'll just chuck this on anywhere in here for now, just loosely. 12 volt power supply is over here. We'll switch that on and see what happens. Right, we weren't far off, so I'll take that off, or I might be able... Oh, it managed to move that around. So we'll power it up again. Here we go. Pretty much zero. I think what I'm going to do, just tweak him round a tad. Where I'm looking at it, I want it bang over. So once again, alright, well that's fine. Where I'm looking, that's bang on. Two things I need to do before I properly reassemble it. As I said before, there's a capacitor here that's just hanging around in the breeze or blowing around. So I'm going to put some hot melt glue on there just to hold the end down. And this 10k resistor that I've hooked in the back, I think you can see it there, which you have to have in for this display. It will not work without it. Rather than have it hanging out the back here, I'm going to solder it in onto the header pins. So I'll do both those things off shot, then refit this unit back into its case and get the dash in on the bench and do a little bit of rewiring. So yep, there you go, all back together. Recrimped it, not too bad, you're not going to see it. Could do it a little bit tighter, but the aluminium's going to split if I'm not careful. But I've done it tighter than the original. Main reason is I fitted the glass fascia from the oil temperature sensor. The one that came with this was plastic, which would be fine, but it could scratch. So yeah, hang on, you will upgrade and put the glass one in. The only thing is the glass one, slightly smaller diameter. That's why I've crimped it a little bit tighter, so the glass presses against the rubber gasket that's in the unit itself. But there you go, all ready to fit into the binnacle. I'll get that out of the truck now and we'll do a bit of rewiring. Right, got the instrument cluster in. I keep calling it a binnacle. I guess that's back to me mini days. However, instrument cluster's out. Dials to swap around. Not quite so bad as I thought. The clock's coming out. I'm going to leave the temperature gauge where it is, so it's still visible to me quite easily. But the fuel gauge is going to be moved to the end here. Main reason is I know how many miles to the gallon I do. This isn't suddenly going to disappear and go to zero. So I don't need to keep an eye on that all the time. I would like to keep an eye on the temperature gauge. Rev counter is going to go here next to the speedo, so I think that's probably the best swap around for me. If we turn it over, there's all the clocks and instruments here. This one is the fuel gauge. I just had to think, fuel gauge is going here, clock's coming out, rev count is going in there. So a little bit of rewiring to do. I've got to pick up 12 volts ground and of course tacho signal, which is coming up this cable that I've got to put an extra crimp in. You may recall I said that in the first video. So I've got some crimps, they've arrived from eBay. All links will be in the description. So I've got to run a new cable from here to the tacho. This thing is a non-standard cable I fitted some time ago. Actually for an alarm light in the display. Again from eBay, I got one of these turn up, so I'm going to swap over the old crimps to a single snap out connector. So if I do need to take out the display again, the instrument cluster, I just simply unclick it rather than 3 crimps here, which I may swap over. So yeah, I'll bring it back after I've rewired this and show you what I've done and where I picked the cables up. There's not a lot of point in sort of sitting around watching me do this. So I'll crack on and I'll come back to you when it's all done. You may recall in the earlier video, there's a pin here, pin 14, is missing a terminal. That's from the factory missing. And I've got to put a terminal in there. Now I've been to eBay and I bought a load of those. I'll put all the descriptions, the item numbers, etc. in the text. But what I've got to do is open this cable shell and just simply put this cable I've already crimped in. But I thought I'd just show you, it's a little bit different to most of the connectors I've come across. There's a cover on the back here that's got to be popped open. Then that gives you access to push a new pin in. Then you just snap the cover closed again. And if I can do it and show you, it's a little tag here. I'll probably do it from that way. Hopefully you can see this. It's plastic, so you want to be a little bit careful with it. There's a clip on both ends. That's all I'm trying to do, is get the clip open without breaking the shell. Now that's one half done. I'll try to repeat it here. There you go. That just pulls down like that. Now hopefully we can get this into focus. That's the crimp. You can see there's a couple of little legs just sticking up on it. Now they've got to go to the outer side of the shell. So hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to push that down in the hole, and you should hear a click. Just give it a little bit of help. I can't push it down with the cable very well because the cable's very thin. That appears to be in okay. So yeah, a little bit uneventful, but it's all in there now. Just close this back on, back up, and there you go. All I got to do now, if I show you what I've done so far, I've just got to tidy this up a tad. I've had a splice in. Land Rover, their splices, basically a little metal terminal pin like that, or round ring I should say. There's probably a special name for it. And they bare the wires, chuck the wires in, crimp it, then stick a load of tape around it. So not quite what you want to see, but that's how they do it. That's factory. What I've managed to do in one place, I've used a bit of heat shrink to connect the cables I needed to that are down here to the tacho. I've had to extend the cable to the fuel gauge because the cable simply wouldn't reach over. So not quite a standard yellow wire on a green run, but there you go. But we're pretty much done now. All I've got to do is tidy it up and we can chuck it back in the truck. So that's what I'll do now. Right, there you go. Instrument cluster back in. Battery connected. We'll put the side lights on first. Okay, they've all lit up, which is good. No smoke. That seems very bright though to me compared to the others. If you look at the temperature and the tacho's a lot brighter. Now I couldn't get into it, alter the bulbs or see if it is actually LED. I suspect it's LED. I couldn't get into it because the top unit was actually crimped closed, so you know there's no go for Mike there. But what I can do, I can get into the input line to the light side of it and put a resistor in series to drop the voltage to the tacho, to the lights only, not to the actual supply to the tacho. So I think there's a bit of scope there for dimming that down. But let's not worry about that. Let's turn the side lights off and put the engine on, because that's the big thing. Let's see what happens. There you go. There's self-test for the tacho. Do that again, just so you can see it. Watch your tacho. There's a self-test. Ready to start the ignition. You could see the needle twitching a little bit. Not quite sure what's going on there. It's probably ECU. But we're ticking over at 750 revs, which is what the tacho's telling us. So functionality-wise, it's a good one. Let's just rev the engine a tad. So there you go. Working tacho for less than £30 and a few hours time. See, the fuel gauge is working, temperature gauge will come up after a few minutes. But yeah, all in all, 30 notes, I've got a working tacho instead of paying £300 for a genuine one from Land Rover. The only thing I do want to do, as I said, that's very bright. Can't do anything about the red LED in the middle lighting the needle up. I'm going to have to put up with that, but that's not the end of the world, so I can live with that. But yeah, I will have to dim it down a tad. So, but that's what's a penny for a resistor, so I'll go and do that now. But all in all, functional system. I hope you found the videos interesting. If you have, thumbs up would be great. But thanks for watching Mike Makes It.